Hi there, and welcome to this week's edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast that is made by fans for fans, where the content is free. It is episode 68 of the Gersnet Podcast, and we would encourage you to listen, to subscribe, put the word out there in social media, let everyone know that we're here and what we're doing, and get more people listening. The podcast is live tonight. We're live on YouTube. You can join in via the comment section. I will try and have a look at some of the comments that are coming in if you're listening live. And give you a wee shout out. But the pod is also available to download and stream tomorrow from a variety of platforms, including Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, and Spotify. So we'll get right into sort of 90 minutes of your life that you'll not get back today at Hamilton. A really, really poor performance, particularly in the second half. We'll cover that game. We'll have a wee look at the one at Hamilton today. Big night on Thursday night against Feyenoord over in Rotterdam. We'll have a wee preview of that. And we'll have a wee discussion about the AGM on Tuesday and also a quick preview of the Hearts game. So we'll get right in about it. So I'll introduce the guests for this week. First up is Stephen Weir. How are you, Stephen?
Or even Stewart Weir.
Stewart Weir, sorry. I've put your name down wrong in the agenda. That's what it is. It's a great start to the show, that, isn't
it? Both myself and Stephen are doing extremely well. Thanks for asking.
No bother, Stephen. Sorry, Stuart. I mean, Bob, Fred, whatever your name is. And speaking of Bobs, we've got Bob McCallum. How are you, Bob?
I'm not bad, Graham. I'm not bad.
Well, I've got one guest name wrong. I've got to get yours wrong as well. I'm all about equal opportunities. You know what I mean? I've got to spread the wealth on that front. So it's John McCallum. How are you, John? I'm
good, mate. I'm good. Yourself?
Not bad. It's been a while. Not spoke to you in a while.
Yeah. No, you've been successfully avoiding me.
Not at all. That's a unfounded and scurrilous rumour. That's a shocking thing to say. Yesterday? How was
your game yesterday?
The Camelin game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay. Aye. To be honest with you, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do watch the game, but I tend to just go for the £4 pint at half time. You know what I mean? It's I'm like a dog with two dicks, as they say at half time, you know what I mean? Because you get a pint and a pie for £4. I mean, I'm shouting at the referee 40 minutes into the first half, come on, this game wrapped up so I can get in for my pie and my pint. But no, it's always a good laugh doing it Camelin. And I would encourage anyone who lives near a sort of, junior or East of Scotland side, if you've got nothing to do on a Saturday, go down and give your local team a wee shout, because it is a good day and there is a good social aspect about it as well. So yeah, I would encourage it. It was good, and then my boy had a game yesterday as well, so I was up at the back of six to get him through to Kilsyth yesterday morning. So fun and games, but all good. Anyway, right, let's get into it, guys. Have a wee look at the Hamilton game. I don't know how you felt yourself. I mean, the second half especially was it was 45 minutes of your life you'd never get back. Stuart, the starting 11, I think the main one today was no Morelos. He dropped out the side in place of the Defoe. Apparently Morelos never got into the country till quite late last night, coming back from international duty. In terms of the whole starting 11, though, how did you feel about that? I think it was the right side that he picked.
Well, I think when you're managing your squad, especially when you've got a 2-week international window, and you've got guys that are playing in big matches and some that are travelling, huge distances, I think you have to err on the side of caution. So, to be honest, I wasn't sort of waiting to see Morelos in the starting 11. And neither did I expect to see Stephen Davis in the starting 11 either. I think he came on at the end to try and give Rangers a bit of control, of which they had absolutely none for a long period of the second half. On this occasion, it wasn't too costly, mostly thanks to a bit of luck and some poor play or opportunity taking from Aki's. But no, I think this is a time of year where you're not going to rush somebody back, especially if they had a couple of hard games, and especially a couple of weeks of international football, because the last thing, and especially on that pitch as well. So if you take on the whole what Steven Gerrard has to consider, there was a lot for him to consider, and the fact that it's the two guys that are heavily involved in international stuff with Davis and Morelos. I know you could say the same with Jack. But the fact of the matter is, I think these two guys are going to be key to anything that Rangers do in the winter period. So I wasn't surprised about the starting 11 at all.
In terms, focusing on Defoe, I know he's done really, really well this season. I thought he struggled today. I thought Rangers struggled. I thought there was an obvious improvement, even just in the last 10 minutes when Morelos came on. Is that an area? I mean, I know he scored a lot of goals so far, but I do worry that if something happened to Morelos, that Defoe wouldn't be enough. Would you agree with that? Sure. Do you think they maybe need more cover?
Well, perhaps. I didn't think Defoe had a particularly good game, and you could say that through the team. I think there were a couple of guys, Aribo, I didn't think was particularly prominent. I didn't think Arfield was particularly prominent either. But then again, it might have been that they were leaving the onus or leaving the workload to a couple of key players, namely Jack and Kent. Defoe he didn't look sharp. He didn't seem to be on the kind of balls of his feet, ready to go forward. He seemed to be kind of sluggish and slow off the mark. And I think it actually gave the Accies defenders an easier time of it than maybe they were expecting. I think if you're a Hamilton defender, you expect Defoe to be in the team and a bit of a buzz bomb. He's a different kind of player to Morelos. He'll be under your feet. He'll be dragging you from side to side. He might be less confrontational, but through his experience that he's a kind of guy that will get into positions that you don't want to really be into as a defender. But I didn't really see any of that today. And I think that's maybe why, if you look at Rangers from front to back as opposed to back to front, I think the problems, some of the problems that Rangers had as a team came from the more forward positions rather than defensively. I think the onus came on the defence because of the guys further forward. Some of them just weren't doing their job.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're going to come on to discuss Arfield later on. I agree with you, and some of the players today didn't really stand up. But one of those who did stand up, John, was Ryan Jack. Now, before the game, I was watching Alan McCoy sort of say that he feels that Ryan Jack should be scoring more goals, and obviously got the two up at Dingwall. It seems to be a part of his game that he's improving on. The goals are certainly coming now, and he's done it again today. A sort of tidy wee finish, left foot, bottom corner, and it gives us the early goal. And you think we can go on and build on that, but I mean, again, Ryan Jack, I know we've kind of emphasised it a lot in the pod recently, but he's just becoming such a vital player for Rangers.
He's having a great season, isn't he? Yeah, I think the accusation about goals is probably a fair one up until fairly recently, but he now looks like he's carrying a goal threat. I thought he finished that goal lovely today. I thought that was a really nice finish. It was a nice move, actually. I mean, I know we got the break of the ball, but it was kind of nice give and go with him and Tav, and I thought he stuck it away well. He had a couple of shots. There was a wee period towards the end of the first half, I think.
Well, it was Ryan Jack shooting in at one stage, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. No, I was going to say, it was a wee period towards the end of the first half where he just seemed to be striding. It was like this will show my age. It was like it reminded me of the Dutch team during the '78 World Cup. This guy striding across the halfway line and having a dig. He seemed to be getting the kind of freedom there. I mean, Jack's having a great season. Every game you see now, he looks better and better. He looks more and more important to us, which is fantastic. Suggests that the coaching he's getting is working. Suggests his fitness is getting better. The team plays better when he plays. We've seen that this season when he's been out. He's a very, very important player to us now, and he was one of the few players today that you could say had a good game. I think there was a few guys looking a bit sluggish today, as you've already said. Jack wasn't one of them. Jack had a great game.
Do you think that some of it's down to Gerrard, John, in terms of encouraging him? Because it seems to me you can always improve your game, but I think when you improve in your game, my theory is you're just discovering stuff that was always there, but you didn't know was there, and you didn't have the confidence to try these things. And I think Jack's sort of earlier image was someone who would sort of sit in front of the back four. You think Gerrard's had an impact and say to him, "No, you know what? Get yourself forward."
I mean, if you're a central midfielder and you're being coached by Steven Gerrard and Gary McAllister, I can't see how you can fail not to learn from them. I mean, those two guys played at the highest level. They achieved an awful lot. So you would have to say, if any position in the team is going to improve to listening to those two guys, it's surely central midfielders. I've spoken to a couple of Aberdeen fans who say that, when Jack was there, he was equally as good. He was just overlooked because he was in an Aberdeen team. I don't buy that. When Jack joined us, he looked okay, but he looked a squad player to me. He's now a first choice player. I think he has improved enormously in the last 12 months. I think he was unlucky when he joined us. I think he get injuries, he gets suspensions. Didn't seem to get a good run. I think you have to give some credit to the management team, whether it's through coaching, whether it's confidence. They've given him something, and he's definitely growing with it. Gerard's spoken about the first training session he took at Rangers. He saw Jack play. He'd never seen Jack play before. He saw Jack training, and he said right away, he said, "No, he's the guy I want in my team." Now, I don't know what it was he saw, but he saw something that he liked, and he's definitely improved. So let's give I think you've got to give the backroom credit for that.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, and I recall reading that for Gerrard. I think he said, he's hungry, he's got desire, he's got everything that I want in a player. So yeah, he's definitely improved.
I don't think you should underestimate the input that Gary McAllister will be having as well. I think, people seem to forget that Gary McAllister would have been, a Liverpool coach had Brendan Rodgers managed to last there a bit longer. And, when Gerrard was appointed Rangers manager and the first thing he did was go and get Gary McAllister, I thought at the time that was a pretty astute bit of business and a great bit of judgment from Steven Gerrard. And if you are dealing with these guys, either as individuals or collectively, and you're a player under them, if you don't learn, and I agree with you, Colin, about the learning process, it's actually how to untap the talents that you've actually got and learn how to be maybe more economical in how you run around or better in terms of the passes. One of the passes he made today to Tavernier coming in, cutting in from the right wing, if it hadn't been for such a bad touch that Tavernier took initially, that could have been a goal. I think they've actually opened up his mind to make him think you can actually play this game. So go and express yourself, go and show people what you can do. And again, what John's saying there about the fact that he was driving onto passes and onto balls around the fringes, the edge of the box, and was taking great delight in actually trying to have a shot. I mean, there was one that I thought was destined for the top corner. And, again, that can only be good for Rangers because it takes some of the pressure off the guys, again, further forward. You're not reliant entirely on the likes of Morelos or Defoe or whoever else it might be in the forward positions to score your goals. So, again, if he can contribute some goals, that can only be good for Rangers.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, his 2 goals up at Dingwall were quality, the way he passed them in. And I think the impact you're talking about with Gary McAllister there, Steven Gerrard was sort of made a better player through Gary McAllister when McAllister was still a player. I think Gerard Tooley had the thought that Gerrard was a 100 miles an hour type player, and he brought in McAllister to sort of, just slow his game down a bit. He's got that sort of mentality. You've got more time than you think. Just slow it down a wee bit, and I think Gary McAllister helped mature Gerrard as a player, and I think that's why when Gerrard got the Rangers job, the first person he thought of was Gary McAllister. And I was actually on I was on a Liverpool podcast through the week. They were asking me about how Rangers are doing and all the rest of it because of Steven Gerrard. And I mentioned the effect that Gary McAllister was having. I says, I think he's just sitting in the background, but he's obviously doing something very, very well because people like Ryan Jack, you can see the improvement in them. It's night and day. But moving from sort of Ryan Jack in the middle of the park to the back four, sure, the Keystone Cop defending today at Hamilton's equaliser And overall today, I thought the defence looked pretty shambolic at times. I thought Goldson in particular seemed to be out of position quite a lot, and that left Tav in a bit of a problem at times. He didn't know whether to come or go. He would maybe have to go one in, and that would leave space out wide, because there was a lot of times they were coming down Tav's. There's Tav, he's not there, but he's had to move in one to cover for Goldson, who's tried to create something. But that goal, I mean, the Hamilton equaliser was a shocker, really, defensively.
It was a catalogue of errors. I think if you are playing and you've got two fullbacks that are attacking and have been told and instructed to attack, and this goes back to, well, I think maybe Walter Smith got around this in some ways by, adopting three central defenders and allowing the two fullbacks that he utilised to actually go forward. But I think if you've got two central defenders, they have to be so diligent and so disciplined to do their job and not get dragged forward. I mean, the one with Goldson today, when he decided he was just going to charge up the pitch, I mean, that was just utter nonsense. But going back to the goal, I mean, Barisic, you would be unhappy if you were coaching an under-11s team and somebody did that in the penalty box when they were supposed to be defending. It's one of the basic fundamentals of football, basic rules. If you're a defender or any kind of player actually in your own box, you gravitate towards the middle of the goal or the centre of the box, because that's where the danger's coming from. Leave the balls that are bouncing around and disappearing out to the flanks to somebody else. You get back in the middle and actually defend it. And the fact that he was a spectator when Lewis Smith equalised, he stood and watched it, and you could actually see Goldson remonstrating with him almost immediately after the goal was conceded, that he should have been doing more. And it was, for the life of me, it's not just him. I mean, there are umpteen fullbacks currently in football who primarily are wingers and do not know how to defend, and that can prove costly. For me, if you're a fullback and you're an attacking fullback, great, but your first job is to stop the opposition getting forward. And if you look at, if you look, I'll go to the Tottenham game yesterday, and if you look at the changes that Jose Mourinho made to that team, basically you had four players that were attacking players and everybody else was a defender. And that might be the most basic of football theories, but for me, it's one that stops you, conceding goals. Go back to Graham Souness. He knew that if he had Ali McCoist up front or a striker up front who could get a goal, if the rest of the team was solid and you defended well, you had won the game. And I think sometimes it might be dull, but the fact of the matter is, if you keep that in the back of your mind at all times, that if you get a goal ahead and then can defend, you've won the game. That's the simplest form of football that you'll get, and I think sometimes the Rangers just switch off.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously there's been a lot of spotlight in Tav this season, and again, don't get me wrong, I don't think he was helped out by Goldson and a couple of others on one or more occasions, but it was another sort of mediocre performance. You get a lot from Tav going forward, but at the moment we're not getting that. And if you're not getting the stuff going forward, and he's not defending, I don't think I've always sort of questioned his defensive attributes. So if you're not getting a top quality defender and he's not giving you the stuff up top, you start to question him, and he's having a poor season. I mean, I don't want to get into the sort of kicking players and all the rest of it. Players are human beings, they can go up and down in terms of their form, but I don't think fans should shy away from talking about that. It's when you start abusing them, on social media and stuff like that, I think that's when it gets out of hand. But I just think he struggled all season, and today was another example of that. John, coming back to you, obviously through the summer there was to and fro in between ourselves and Liverpool for Ryan Kent. We brought him in for $7 million. His first game, he went off with a sort of severed hamstring. He's sort of been coming back here and there. the second goal today, an absolute beauty. And there was times today, I don't know how you felt, but it felt to me like he's starting to push on, and we're starting to see the sort of Ryan Kent that we saw certainly in the second half of last season.
We haven't seen that Ryan Kent, I don't think, this season yet, have we? He came to us late, like you say, picked up an injury, and it's really only the last few games. In fact, he's probably one of the few players that will have benefited from the international break. Probably allowed him to get a bit of training in and just kind of find his feet again. Oddly enough, I actually didn't think he was playing all that well up until he scored. I thought he was having one of these games where it just wasn't coming off for him. He was getting the space for the cross. The cross wasn't happening. He was getting the shot off. It wasn't on target. It just wasn't quite happening for him until he scored. And what a goal! A goal worthy to grace any football match. It was an absolute cracker. I loved the way he kind of shimmied to create space, and he just had one thought in his mind. And I actually thought that the Hamilton keeper looked pretty good today. I don't know who the Hamilton keeper was. They were saying on the TV he was on loan from England. I was unfamiliar with the guy before today. I thought he had a pretty good game, and he didn't have an earthly for that goal. An absolute cracker. So I hope we are starting to see Kent, because I'm very conscious that this period last year, Rangers stumbled. We came out of the kind of last international break of 2018 into December, late November into December. We stumbled. We started dropping points. We drew games we should have won. We lost games that we shouldn't have lost. And
yeah, but we also had a similar December last season to this season, didn't we? There was Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs,
European
Celtic.
games.
I mean, it's almost enough to make you suspicious of the whole fixture list. But and I know you're saying December was a vital month for us last season, and we sort of stuttered. Yeah.
Well, the point I was going to make was Ryan Kent looks like he's coming onto a game at just the right time. See, this time last year, I think we'd have drawn that game today. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure we'd have won that game.
I would agree with you, John. Yep.
I think we were, I think today we didn't play well, but we won the game. And we won the game because we had a guy in the park who is capable of scoring a goal like that from absolutely nothing. And the form that the form that Kent showed the second half of last season, I'm very hopeful that that's what's coming in just now. That's the form that he's coming into just now. And if he is, that will be vital to us in the next 3-4 weeks.
I maybe just make the point here that just on what you're touching upon there. I think it's really difficult to come back after an international break. I mean, I honestly do. It's 2 weeks where you don't have the players to work with, and all of a sudden you're coming back and you must hit the ground running again, and that is. It sounds easy, and it's saying, well, other teams do it and all the rest of it. Other teams don't do it. Trust me, other teams can struggle and other teams can toil as well. So the point that you made there, John, is absolutely spot on. That would have been a game today under a year ago or under different coaches that Rangers would have either drawn or might even have actually lost. So disjointed as it might have been, I think it was actually an okay day in terms of the result being more important than the performance.
I would take that one step further. I think under Gerrard last season, we could have dropped points at that game today. It's the improvement this season is marked, in my opinion. At this point last season, I wouldn't say we were already out it, but that game against Celtic on the 29th of December was already looking to be fairly vital, in terms of just keeping us in it. And
but
this season,
psychologically,
totally them.
Correct. Psychologically, Rangers are still at the same pace as Celtic. Forget goal difference. Nobody says, well, you got a 5-5 draw, so therefore, your goal difference hasn't, improved, or your goal difference is better. Nobody says these things. What you look for is 3 points, and the difference between this year and last year, I think you're right. I think that would have been a couple of points, or maybe all 3 points. dropped by Rangers. I think that the psychology within the Rangers team is far better than it was a year ago.
John, I mean, sticking with Kent at the moment, he was involved in another incident, sent a cross into the box, and it looked to me like the Hamilton player sort of leant into the ball with his arm, but according to Stephen Craigan, that was a natural silhouette. There was no biomechanics involved this week. It was a natural silhouette. What did you make of that? Did you think it was a penalty?
To be honest, I didn't. I thought the guy. It's one of these ones you watch it 4, 5, 6 times, different ways. My feeling at the time was it wasn't. When I saw it first, I didn't think it was a penalty. I thought the guy had his arm at his side. Like you say, it does look, when you see it again, it does look like he's lent a little bit. I didn't feel he lent his arm to it. I just thought it's one of these things. I'd be disappointed if it was given against me. I certainly wasn't howling for it at the time. I laughed at Stephen Craigan's description of a natural silhouette. I'm not sure what an unnatural silhouette is.
No. No.
I'm fairly sure he's got one, but I don't know. But no, I didn't think it was a penalty, I'll be honest with you. I was okay with it.
I didn't think it was a penalty at the time. I was like you. I wasn't sort of screaming for it. It was the footage from behind the goal when he. I mean, I know his arms by his side, but to me, if you're leaning into the ball, you run that risk. I think it could have been given, and I'm fairly confident if it was us, it would have been given. But that's just me. I'm just being paranoid.
I think when it comes to whether it's natural or unnatural, every time I hear someone saying that silhouette or their body position, I keep thinking back to old episodes of Kojak or Quincy when you remember they used to put the tape round the body on the floor and used to say, how the hell could you land in that position? That for me is unnatural. Personally, I didn't think it was a penalty at the time. I think it struck his arm, but I've got quite a simple kind of rationale or theory about these things. It's like, if it happened to you, would you be upset? And to my opinion, if that was given against any team that I was playing for or following, and that happened, I'd been upset. So I didn't think it was a penalty at the time, and I still don't really think it's much of a shout just now.
On another issue, mentioning Kojak and Quincy, you're mentioning things that a lot of our listeners will not have a clue what you're talking about.
Well, actually, can I tell you, just turn on ITV4 before the Sweeney any given day.
Don't know what the Sweeney is either. And if Love Island isn't on ITV4, they'll not be watching that. So
every day's a school day. It's an education for you.
Well, I had a similar incident in work a couple of weeks ago. I had the opportunity to mention Ted Rogers and Dusty Bin. Right? Because somebody said 3, 2, 1. I went, oh, Ted Rogers, Dusty Bin. And the whole room just stared at me. A glacial look in their faces as if, who's Ted Rogers and what the hell is Dusty Bin? Because I think they were all under 35. So, yeah, I'm starting to notice that you can mention some things now and people don't know what you're talking about. And I think there'll be a few out there going, Kojak? Who the hell's Kojak? Anyway, I digress. On to the second half, guys. Stuart, I'll come back to you. Fairly uninspiring stuff, the Rangers. When you consider, Celtic had got the result yesterday. They've kind of struggled against Livingston, but I think it was fairly simple for them yesterday. Quite emphatic victory. I was kind of thinking, the minute we got 2-1 up, you're thinking, right, we need to push on now. Just didn't happen, and there was that wee threat of Hamilton were getting the odd breakaway, and from about 65, 70 minutes on, I was like that. We're going to make an arse of this. We're going to drop points here. They did have a really good chance from the incident we're talking about earlier on with Goldson when they decided to charge up the park. They nearly scored at that. I mean, a really insipid second half performance. Stuart, what would you put that down to? You think it would come back to the international stuff, the international break, like you're saying?
No, I think it's your mindset. I think that 2-1, and when Rangers are not performing particularly well, it is very, very difficult to stay on the front foot. So therefore, a team naturally goes defensive, even though they'll be trying desperately not to go defensive. They take a step back. They don't push up as much. they take a step back or give a couple of yards to the opposition. And when that happened and they were playing a bit deeper, Aki started to press. And when Aki started to press, it just put more pressure on Rangers. I think, to be honest, I think the game would have been entirely different if the shot that Kent had that hit the post in the first half had actually gone in. I don't think so much of the conversation that we've had tonight would have been happening if Rangers had got that second goal. So the second half, I thought that Rangers actually brought it on themselves just because they gave Aki's a toehold in the or a foothold in the game, just because it was in terms of the territory, and that made it difficult for Rangers. I thought then when they brought Morelos on, they brought Davis on, they pushed up that wee bit more. I thought that Morelos pushing up, instant, impact. I booked almost immediately. But I have to say, for a guy who is so desperate to score goals, the way he teed Kent up for the third goal was a fantastic pass, a well-judged pass. And for me, it showed that Morelos is actually more of a team player than some people will give him credit for, because I bet a year ago he would have tried to change foot and have a crack at goal himself rather than laying the ball inside and becoming a provider rather than just a scorer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I thought Morelos made an instant impact. I thought Rangers almost straight away looked a different proposition. John, coming back to yourself, the booking with Morelos now, Stewart referenced it there. He came on a wee bit of smash in the middle of the park. I didn't think there was much in it at all, and I was a wee bit surprised. Well, I'm surprised because it seems to me if Morelos farts on the park, you know what I mean, he's getting a yellow card for it. But I mean, there was an incident in the first half. There was a wee sort of coming together with one of the Hamilton players, and he sort of threw his arms in the face of one of the Rangers players. I can't remember who it was. And I thought there would have been a booking coming at that. I wasn't looking for a sending off. I thought he's going to get booked. If you raise your hands, the very least you're getting is booked. And he just got a talking to. And then Morelos comes on, and I didn't think there was anything in that at all with Morelos. And the ref, it was like he couldn't got his card out quick enough. It's this whole. I mean, Morelos he's improved undoubtedly this season in terms of his his discipline and all that. But is that another sign that referees are still sort of refereeing him to a different standard?
I think he flicked his leg out. He didn't catch the guy, but I thought he flicked his leg out at him.
Well, if you're saying that's a booking, should the one in the first half for the Hamilton boy also?
Well, what I'm saying is, I think what he did meant he gave the referee a decision to make. Now, he didn't catch him, so it wasn't like there was a guy riding around in the ground as you sometimes get when Morelos was into ball on the pass when maybe the opposition player made a meal of it. That didn't happen. So I personally thought the referee could just have waved it on. But he did flick his leg out, which was a stupid thing to do, because then he does put himself in a position where the referee has that chance. Is the referee inconsistent? Aye, they're all inconsistent. I think Morelos has always been judged to a different standard, and not just on the park. This season, everybody has been impressed this season with his conduct, his ability to avoid trouble, to keep his head down, to not get goaded as he clearly was last season. And that's probably the first time this season. I'm trying to think. I don't remember this season seeing him react like that. And I'm not really sure why he did react. I mean, the guy had his arm round him, he was kind of slowing him down. But it was in our interest that time get wasted. It was in our interest that the game get slowed down. So I thought it was a strange thing to do, slightly petulant. I'm not overly concerned that the old Morelos is back. I don't think that's the case. I think it was just one of these things, and he got the booking, and I think it was a soft booking, but he shouldn't have done it. But yeah, he still, if he steps out of line, he'll get booked for stuff that other players don't get booked for. And I don't want to sound like some mad paranoid guy, but I do think that. I think Morelos is definitely the type of player who will get booked, and there's other players in the league who could do the same thing who won't get booked. And I think that's a reputation thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think he needed to be booked today. I've got to be honest. And I think the ref set a precedent with the one in the first half, and that's what made me sort of question it. I do. I still think he's getting refereed to a different standard. Obviously, he's improved his discipline, as I was saying earlier on. He's not getting involved in many things, but I still think the minute he is involved, referees are just going straight to him, thinking he's the problem. Sure, that you mentioned earlier on, Morelos' involvement in the second goal, really tidy finish with Ryan Kent. Game done and dusted. I want to sort of finish up the Hamilton game today. A wee discussion on Scott Arfield. Now, having a wee look through social media today, seeing a lot of comments about fans just questioning him in terms of his involvement and his contribution. I've noticed that Jordan Campbell's put something up tonight on the Athletic, sort of saying that, I've not read it yet, but going by the headline in the sort of first sort of paragraph or so, it seemed to be suggesting that Rangers don't know what to do with Scott Arfield. They've got enough players in the middle of the park that he's not needed there. And it seemed to work initially when he was sort of pushed further forward, but it just seems to be falling out of games now. He's not got the pace to operate down the wings. With Defoe in there today, it just wasn't working. He wasn't linking up with him at all. And there was times you forgot he was on the park. I think, you genuinely thought, every now and again when he touched the ball, I was like, Christ, I forgot he was playing. What's your thoughts on Arfield? Is it true, is Jordan right in his assumption that, they just don't know where to put him at the moment?
I think actually Scott Arfield has possibly been a victim of, if you like, his own success since he arrived at Ibrox, because he has been able to adapt and adopted a number of roles, a number of positions, and it's very difficult for somebody. The reason that players are signed and sold for huge sums, as attacking midfield players, is because they can go box to box, or they can set up chances or take chances or whatever it is. And for him to go and try and fulfill that role this late in his career it's not that easy. So he had a go at it. He's played different positions. He started today. Again, Rangers have to put somebody there, because obviously Steven Gerrard had made his mind up that he wasn't going to start with Stephen Davis. So you need somebody in there. Now, again, as far as I'm concerned, he might not be an out-and-out starter these days, but he is somebody who I still think has got a role to play, simply because if he's on the bench, he can play a number of different positions in terms of central midfield. He's never going to attack you out wide or down the flanks, but it's at times you're going to either have to stiffen your central midfield or make changes to central midfield. And for me, I don't see Arfield entirely slipping out the picture just yet. I think he's a good player. He's an honest player as well, and I think that he will have as much to give to Rangers over the winter and into the spring as any other player in that squad just now.
John, what about yourself? What's your thoughts on Arfield at the moment? Because I think behind Tav, I think he's the one that fans are really starting to question at the moment.
Yeah, he's not had a good season. I don't think he started the season well, and I think we spoke about this as well at the start of the season. He didn't get much of a break. He was involved with Canada over the summer in international football, and I don't think he got as much of a break as he needed, because we were obviously back training and playing qualifying games so early. And I don't think he got the break he needed, and I think that's showing just now. Interestingly, when yourself, Stewart, were talking at the start of the pod about Defoe, I actually didn't think Defoe had that bad a game today. I thought he was just isolated, and I think partly that was because of Arfield. I don't think Arfield was getting close enough to him. I don't think Arfield was making the runs that he was making last season. Last season, Arfield was dragging players wide. Last season, Arfield was anticipating what Defoe would do next, but prior to that, what Morelos would do next. And I don't think he's doing that just now. He was away with Canada over the international break as well, I believe. So I suppose there's a fair bit of travelling there. So he may have been a bit like Morelos. He may just have been a bit tired after the travelling. I'm not 100% sure, but he's off the pace just now. I think he gets a game, and I could be dead wrong on this, but I think he gets a game because we're a team that lack height. We've got two centre halves, but other than that, not very tall players in our team, and I think we need Arfield's strength in the air at set pieces, and I mean defending set pieces as opposed to attacking them. And I think he's seen as being quite important to the team because of that. And I think that's why he's currently being favoured over guys like Stewart, who would be a kind of obvious replacement for him, an attacking player, but not an out-and-out forward. I think that's why he's been favoured ahead of guys like that just now, because I think he is seen as contributing more all round than a guy like Stewart is, who's an out-and-out. I've just said he's not an out-and-out forward, but he's an attacking player, Stewart. He's not a guy you would look to be, picking up somebody at a set piece. Whereas Arfield actually does that for us, and I think that is a fairly important role just now because, as you touched upon earlier, Barisic has got many strengths. Defending's not one of them, unfortunately, and Tav as well can be caught out. And Tav's not the tallest, and I think that Arfield's strength in the air is something that the team management value, and I think his international commitments are catching up with him. And I think we are paying the price for that. And I'm hoping that he can get through the next few weeks, get a break over January, and come back and give us the second half to the season that he gave us last season, because he's not delivering just now. He's not doing it.
He played his last game against Haiti for Canada on June the 29th, and he was back in the Rangers team that played St. Joseph's. He came off the bench on the 18th of July. So he'd literally 2 weeks off to go away and tan himself or do whatever he was going to do to get himself back playing for Rangers. So you're right, John, in what you're saying. He did not have an overly long break this summer, and whether it was just last season catching up with him and he hasn't been able to get that out of his legs, I'm not sure. But I take on board the point you made about Defoe. Again, I think you might be right there in hindsight, looking at it in terms of the guys that were making the forward run. And I still think even for all the signings that Rangers have made and all the different signings and permutations that they have in the midfield, and I don't know if this is a role that Ryan Kent will eventually adopt, but an actual central attacking midfield player that can join in with the striker and actually link with the striker is something that would greatly benefit Rangers just now. I think we saw some of that today with Kent, but again, he cannot play two positions. He can't be playing that position and then being asked to play out wide as well.
It's interesting that you said there, John, that he's in the team. I think he's in the team because sometimes I think players get a game because they give more than the actual what they give on the pitch. Their presence, what they're saying in the dressing room, how they're conducting themselves on the park in terms of how they're talking to their teammates and leading them on. Sometimes we're maybe not involved in that because we're sitting watching it and we're just thinking, well, he's not doing very much. But actually, I always remember Graham Souness saying that about Ray Wilkins. He was getting more in the dressing room than he was on the park, because he was getting on a wee bit at the time, Wilkins. So I find that quite interesting. The thing that you said there about his height, well, it's funny you say that because my mate was I think it was Edinburgh Airport through the week, and he walked past Scott Arfield and he texted me straight away saying, I've just walked past Scott Arfield in the airport, and he's taller than you'd think. And I'd always thought Arfield was quite small, but he's obviously not, and that's maybe something, as you say, he's offering that Greg Stewart isn't. He's just so adaptable and so versatile that he is paying the price for it a wee bit, because he's getting played in so many different positions. We're maybe not seeing the best of him now. But I know Ross isn't his biggest fan, so if Ross is listening, he'll be loving the Scott Arfield chat. Right, guys, I think we've sort of covered the Hamilton game there. So move on to the big game on Thursday night against Feyenoord in Rotterdam. I think I've said this a few times already this season in the pod that loving being in the European arena again, loving these big nights. Ibrox and on the continent and stuff like that. And I mean, it's set up perfectly for Rangers on Thursday night. You know, if they get the 3 points off through, they've got 2 games left to get 3 points in any of those 2 games. They're home and hosed. So a really, really big night. Stuart, what's your thoughts? I mean, Rangers' record in Holland isn't overly great. We were over there just before the collapse in 2012 with drew 0 each with PSV. I think the previous time we were over there was against Feyenoord, and we lost 3-2, and that was a sort of one of those nights when Rangers could have actually got through that night. I think the last time I remember Rangers doing anything over there was against PSV when George Albert scored, when Dick Advocaat, ironically enough, was the manager. So what's your thoughts for Thursday? Do you think Rangers have a chance?
They have a chance. They will have to be a lot tighter than they were today. And I think it might suit Rangers. It surprised me how easily Rangers have adapted to actually playing a certain system or in a certain way in terms of European football. I mean, for Rangers to actually qualify for the Europa League in successive seasons is an achievement in itself. The fact that they're now holding their own in a group that in other years could actually, be reflective of a group in the Champions League is quite amazing as well. I still think I go back to the point that Steven Gerrard made when the draw was actually made and Rangers knew who they were going to play in this group, that this could go to the very last kick of the ball and the very last tie. I think that Rangers are capable of getting a result, whether they're capable of winning against Feyenoord, who will be fired up because of Advocaat and goodness knows all what. It's going to be very, very hard. I still think that the ace up Rangers' sleeve is the fact that the last tie in the group stages is at home against Young Boys. But I will hark back to, as they now say, game day number 2 and that loss against Young Boys, which for the life of me, I still struggle to believe that Rangers actually lost that game, and I sincerely hope that it's not a result that comes back and bites Rangers in the backside over the next 180 minutes, because that was a game they should have taken something from, and had they done that, they really would have been home and hosed by now.
Yeah, that was a really frustrating one that night. I mean, especially the way it came about. 2 really silly errors, and one in the last minute. And also, I mean, I know Tav took a lot of stick that night, but I also think Rangers overall needed to look at themselves. The game was there for the taking, and they just didn't seize the opportunity. You know what I mean? They just seemed a wee bit timid at times when there was a real chance to get the 3 points. And as you say, Stuart, would have been home and hosed by now.
What worries me about this game, sorry, Colin, get into this match, is that there are almost like parallels with that game against Young Boys, because that was Rangers' first away game, and they played well against Porto, but this time around, this is almost like a knockout match in some respects. It's like there is so much riding in this one. It's almost, I know it is a cup tie, but it's almost like a cup tie where you need to get a result in this game. If you lose it, it's going to be so difficult for you then to qualify. If they win it, job done. But I do think Rangers have to take something from this game and then leave themselves with the final tie at home against Young Boys to actually, complete the job. I still think they can qualify. I just think that it might be more difficult than some people are actually, thinking it might be.
John, Feyenoord drew 1 each yesterday, and obviously they've had the issues earlier on in the season. They're now under Dick Advocaat. When they arrived at Ibrox earlier on in the season, they were under Jaap Stam. That seemed to be a bit of a disastrous arrangement. They got thumped off Ajax 4-0. That was a turning point. Stam resigned. Dick Advocaat's in. Now, obviously, we know Dick Advocaat, and he's an excellent coach. I think the sort of that 2001 season, 99-2000, when he brought in Moles and that season, some of the football we played was I think it's probably the best football I've seen at Ibrox. That said, though, I feel sometimes games away from home in Europe suit Rangers. They can sit in, hit on the counter, and we kind of showed that against Porto. I know that the result against Young Boys was frustrating and disappointing, but I also look at that Porto game and think, you know what, we could have won that as well. So I think if the Rangers that turned up against Porto over there turns up on Thursday night, I think we're a team that can sit in, and we have the players there that can counter attack quite quickly. And I hear what Stuart's saying. It could be a tricky night, but I genuinely think Rangers have got a chance of qualifying on Thursday.
Oh yeah, I agree entirely. We've definitely got a chance. I mean, it's been interesting in Europe. I would include last season as well. Our away form in Europe, we're not been getting the results, but we have been getting performances, and that's one of the most pleasing aspects I think of Europa League last season and again this season is that we've gone toe to toe. The Young Boys result was frustrating. The result in Porto, as you said, we could have won that match, but the fact is that we're going to these places and we're giving these teams a game. And I think you did us, if you don't mind me saying, Colin, I think you did us a wee bit of a disservice because I don't actually think we are sitting in. I think we're actually coming out and playing football. And in both of those games, there were periods of those games where we were dominating it. Where we were keeping the ball, dictating the pace of the game, as opposed to absorbing wave upon wave upon wave of attack. I don't actually think we're good enough defensively. It's not a Walter Smith Catanicha Rangers. It's a Rangers team that has to go out and this is a Rangers team that wants the ball and wants to play their own game. I quite admire that, and it's lovely to watch at times, terrifying other times, but it is lovely to watch at times, and it's been quite heartening. Rotterdam and Feyenoord, they've got a pretty big ground. They've got a vociferous home support. Fairly vocal, fairly hostile from everything I read. You're right, their form has improved. I was looking at the Dutch league earlier before coming on, and they drew, like you said, at the weekend, and they didn't draw against anybody particularly good. It's another kind of mid-table team they drew against, but they've won their 2 games before that. So, we know ourselves. Advocat will come in. He's a disciplinarian. He is very well organised. Feyenoord, I thought against us had some good players. And with a bit of luck, things could have gone differently for them. I thought we were the better team, but I've seen us play European games and we've been the better team and we've lost. I think we go into this game with a chance. I think we go into this game with a bit of confidence. I think that's one of the things that Gerrard and McAllister have probably brought is this. They've given the players the confidence to go out and, I think the phrase they use in football is express yourself. And I think basically that means, have the confidence to take the ball in, to make the pass, to beat a man, try and do something. Don't panic. Go out there and try and do it. So I'm looking forward to it. I've enjoyed our European football. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be another test. But I have to say, I think we do have a chance. If we didn't win, it wouldn't come as a massive surprise. It would be a disappointment, but it wouldn't come as a massive surprise. We get another bite at the cherry at home. But if we did win, it also wouldn't come as a massive surprise. And it would certainly give us a lift going into December.
Sure. If Feyenoord win and Porto win, then we go into match day 6 with every club on 7 points, I believe.
Yeah, I think Jock Wallace would say that would be a day for fixed bayonets.
It's tighter than 2 coats of paint if that's the situation, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It is.
Jock Wallace and Kojak in one podcast.
Ted Rogers and Dusty Bin as well.
I'm not categorised as a social commentator as well for no reason whatsoever. But no, listen, I think this might sound slightly bizarre. Rangers' performances in Europe away from home, it's almost over the last couple of seasons you have become accustomed to them actually performing rather well. Today against Hamilton Accies, I would say is probably what I would categorised as the norm for Rangers, that they don't make it easy for themselves, and sometimes they toil and sometimes they struggle, but they're managing to grind out a win. I think actually on a European stage, and it has been for the last couple of seasons, I think Rangers have actually adapted themselves, quite easily to how European football's played. That you can give the opposition the ball in their own half, let them play, defend in your own half, and then hit quickly in the break. And the point that John made about actually, if you break down the games that Rangers have actually played this season in particular, there are spells where Rangers have been dominant for 15, 20, 25 minutes. I mean, a game against Young Boys, Rangers had a fantastic first half and should have been further ahead, which I think actually, only adds to the frustration at the end result. So, yeah, Rangers are capable of getting a result. I still think that it's going to come down to the last game against Young Boys, and by that stage, you'll know exactly what you have to do over 90 minutes. And the fact is that Ibrox can only benefit Rangers. Feyenoord, in terms of being at home this week, you're right enough. I mean, it's a hell of a intimidating stadium. It's comparable in size to Ibrox, and you will know the atmosphere that can be generated inside Ibrox. So expect the same when if you're there on Thursday night.
Yeah, I think it's a valid point actually about the atmosphere on Thursday night, because that's something that didn't exist at Porto. Their fans didn't really turn up that night in numbers and in terms of vocally supporting their team. So that could be key. But I'm always hopeful going into these things. So hopefully we'll get the result. Hopefully we'll get the 3 points and we'll be through to the knockout stages of European football for the first time in a long, long time. Right, guys, just quickly, I'm conscious of time now. We're in the sort of last 2 or 3 minutes. So just a couple of things that are coming up through the week. Stuart, coming to you first. The AGM is on Tuesday. Obviously, the club published their annual accounts a couple of weeks back there, and David King announced that he would have to pump more money in between now and the end of the season. There's some stuff kicking about on social media tonight that there's big news coming in terms of incoming finance, and there's even a wee rumour that the club's maybe been sold. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, and I heard the same last August as well. So and the same suspects were involved a year ago, and nothing came of it in terms of either the sale of the club or in terms of the squillions that were going to get invested in the club. We'll wait and see. Put it this way, the AGMs are not as entertaining from someone who has to cover them as a neutral, from the days when Rangers built their 2-man bivouac on the pitch to house something like a scout jamboree. It's slightly more upmarket these days, and we'll wait and see. The figures in terms, I have to say, the figures in terms of what Rangers have spent and all the rest of it, you would have to be a complete and utter dunce when it comes to business not to realise that Rangers would have to take money from somewhere to bring in the players and run the club or the playing squad the way they have done in the last, since the summer. The fact that Rangers, posted a loss, I think that's entirely natural. The fact that they're managing it is I would say, more acceptable and palatable than it was a couple of years back. But again, if you've got any ambitions of winning anything in football, I don't know too many clubs that work, in the black, if you're actually the one that's doing the chasing rather than the team that's actually at the top.
John, I'll finish off with you. Just a quick mention of the game next week as well. The Hearts game on Sunday, the 1st of December. First game, as we discussed earlier on the pod, and a heavy month for Rangers, and it's the week before the cup final. We're coming off of the back of the Feyenoord game. We struggled against Hearts at Tynecastle earlier in the season. We dropped 2 points out there. Given where we are and given the month that's coming in terms of fixtures? How vital is it to get 3 points against Hearts on Sunday?
Well, it's essential we get 3 points. My only concern for the Hearts game is that they've got a new manager in place and they're all playing out their skins to impress the new manager. If they don't, I think it'll be quite comfortable. Hearts are having a shocking season. They're in terrible form, and I wouldn't be concerned about playing them at home. Game at Tynecastle is always a bit harder, but I wouldn't be concerned about playing them at home. But that's my only concern, is that they this week appoint a manager, and I'm amazed they haven't appointed one before now. I thought that would have happened over the last couple of weeks, but they might have a new manager in, and you get that, what is it, the new manager bounce, they call it.
Bounce back ability, is that what they call it?
So that'd be my only concern, Colin, because other than that, Hearts are in terrible form, they're having a terrible season. They don't look very good. They've got Naismith back, and I know he's not everybody's favourite player, but he's still an effective player. I thought you saw that for Scotland through the week. He's still a guy who he will improve most teams that he goes into. He certainly improves the Hearts team, but I would, even with a difficult European match, I would still be fairly confident going into that Hearts game next Sunday.
What about yourself, Stuart? Think Rangers will get a result next week?
Well, the points that John has made and that you've made yourself, yeah, if they appoint a manager, they might get the new man bounce, so to speak. But the fact of the matter is that I don't think Hearts are going to be suddenly cured of all their ills in the space of 90 minutes just because they've got a new manager. They weren't very good against Kilmarnock yesterday. If you go back to the semi-final, they were pretty dire in the semi-final. And I wouldn't be losing too much sleep with the fact, maybe if it was at Tynecastle, I think less so, that it's at Ibrox. And again, in all of these things, it's about how Rangers perform rather than how the opposition are going to perform. I think Rangers have to be of a mindset that we are capable of winning games and worry about your own performance rather than about anything the opposition might be capable of doing.
Well, my issue is, given the run of fixtures that are coming up in December, without being sort of disrespectful to Hearts in any way, that's a game I feel we need to win, because there's every chance that we're going to take dunce further along into December, because it's going to be a tricky month. So when you're getting games like that at home, I think you've got to take all 3 points. But guys, that's us now. So that's it. That's it for this week's Gersnet Weekly Podcast. A big thanks to Stewart and John for their contributions. Excellent stuff from them. We'll be back next week. Obviously, big game on Thursday night. Feyenoord. We might be through to the knockout stages of the Europa League. We never know. We'll discuss that. And we'll also look at the Hearts game and anything that's come out of the AGM. In the meantime, get yourself on Gersnet and the forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. And until the next time, bye for now.